I can't believe we're down to the last 15 minutes, so we'll see you in a few minutes.
We
are here.
Wow.
Listen, I'm always honored to have the opportunity to work with Craig. It's been far and few between. This is the only hour of the day, actually last 15 minutes of the day. I know we had the once only. Go online and check that out. But this is brand new for the event. The GAZ Limo, this is, again, everything that we do is limited edition here, but $348.26, 6 value pay of $58.04, free shipping and handling. Your choice of the black or the blue, I will tell you just from the preview. You must be shopping online. Literally, we have fewer than 4 dozen in each, and that's the story.
Right.
Yes.
This is a new version, larger version of the GAZ Limo. Now, one of the questions you just asked a minute ago is, well, it doesn't have the numerals we were talking about earlier tied to the clock.
Right.
And the reason is because this is the first GAZ Limo produced with the tritium tubes. And it's pretty unusual to do tubes with numerals because the tubes themselves are obviously straight glass tubes.
Right.
So that's why now one of the things that I love about this particular one, and it just came out, is that, and I want to, when we can get a chance, this is a different dial, but I wanted to show it, that the tubes are actually countersunk below the dial.
Stop it.
Yeah, as opposed to sitting on the dial.
Oh, you have got to see this.
It is countersunk. You can see how, like, if you compare this to the other dial I was showing earlier, you see the tubes are actually sitting on top of the dial normally. In this case, they're actually countersunk below the, and I'm doing this terribly.
You just hold still.
There we go.
Steve's good.
There we go. You can see that they're below the dial. So it creates this beautiful profile. Now, why did they do that?
Why did they do that?
Well, it creates I think it creates a more elegant and more of a dressy look, which is what they were going for with these particular runs of the GAZ Limo. And one of the things I've had several people tell me, these haven't been out long, but the response I've gotten from customers is, it's very hard to find a dressy watch with tritium tubes. People tend to associate, both manufacturers and consumers, tend to associate tritium with sport watches.
Right.
So if you want the tritium tube technology, and again, for those of you who are just tuning in, that gives you the constant illumination with the tubes that glow due to the gas inside them. If you want the tritium tube technology in a dress watch, this is a rare opportunity to get that, especially at this crazy watch day price. I mean, anybody who knows, tritium adds a lot of cost to the watch.
Wow.
It just does.
Yeah.
You know, it's expensive. These are the smallest gas tritium tubes made in the world by MB Microtech, who makes these in Switzerland.
That's incredible. Listen, I hate to interrupt you. If you want these, wow. The black is flying out the door. There are like 2 dozen now left in the black, and that's going to be it. The blue, there's literally 3 dozen, and that is it. That's the end. 5 dozen in total. If you use your Shop NBC credit card, you get free shipping. Come on board. I wish there was more hours of Craig Hester and Buzz Talk. Listen, because for the
Europe, actually, next on your screen. Now, if you like watches with interesting stories behind them, this is another one that is just kind of interesting, so listen in to us as we chat about this. It is back in stock after selling out during its debut in June when it was brought out. In about 5 minutes' time in June, this completely sold out, so it didn't take long at all. $298.63 is your price, 6 payments of $49.78. Because as you look at this watch, again, to have that direct connection to history, to something that, again, may not have the story of a spacecraft or anything, but we're talking about transportation of a different form. We're talking about a limousine. You might remember, my age certainly or older, you're going to remember Leonid Brezhnev, who was the premier of the Soviet Union for most of the 70s, if not all the 70s, and into the early 80s.
Big old bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, I mean, I can picture him just like it was yesterday.
Yep.
This was what he was chauffeured around in back in those days.
The GAZ 14 Limo, which actually was a pioneering vehicle in the Russian automobile history. A number of advancements were made in this vehicle. This was his limousine, and actually he drove Nixon around Red Square in this particular, himself got behind the wheel, and as I understand it, so did Nixon for a little bit. So it's not always an airplane or a boat or so forth. The bottom line is that Vostok Europe picks some achievement from Russian or Soviet history to tie their watches to. In this particular case, this watch, the GAZ Limo, named for this limousine and inspired by it. That's why this is, I actually think, Sean, this is the, as far as I know, is the only true dress watch out there with tritium tube technology. For whatever reason, most companies look at the tritium tubes and they see that as something they should only do in a sport watch. And Vostok Europe said, why?
Yeah.
Why not do this in a dress watch? And this is a true dress example, sport dress, I guess. It's not purely a dress watch, but it is, you know, it is a dress example with the tritium tube technology. So if you love the tritium tubes, but you wanted something you can wear with a suit, here it is.
Now, the tritium tubes are maybe subtly used on this one compared to the others. The hour markers, though, if you look, there's a stick hour marker done in the rose tone. It's just to outside of that, the very end where you're going to see the tritium tubes, but also on your hour hand and on your minute hand, you're going to see that as well. Let me get you some measurements on this.
Well, one of the things about this one, and we'll show the dial, we showed this last time, I want to show the dial too, is that that's different on this one than most tritium tube watches is the tubes themselves do not sit on top of the dial. They're actually countersunk into the actual dial of the watch. And that gives you a sleeker look, a more uniform, smooth look on the dial. Now, as we get in closer on this, you'll see, you see the tubes, and as I turn to the side, you'll see they disappear.
Yes.
Because they are actually countersunk into holes that are put into the dial itself. That, of course, adds expense. That's one more element you have to. They have to machine cut into this dial, but it creates a smooth look for the dial as opposed to when the sporty ones where they sit on top. This is also everything inside surgical grade stainless steel, including the movement holder. This has the NH25 automatic movement in it. 21 joule, I believe, movement in this watch.
That's what my note says.
Yep,
yes,
21 joule NH25 movement in this. You can see the Limousine GAZ 14 on the dial. Again, amazing deal to get this at under $300. Is just an amazing, is a screaming price on this.
I'm going to show it to you on my wrist, and I'm going to take it off my wrist almost just as fast, okay? So there you've seen 45 millimeter is the case diameter on this because
gorgeous.
I want you to be aware of something with this because we're using the word automatic on this. And yes, you're wearing it, that's going to wind the watch. And in fact, that's the only way that you're going to wind this watch.
That's true, the NH25.
Yeah, I should explain what I mean if you don't know. Usually with an automatic, you can wind the watch, physically turn the crown and wind the watch. I could sit here all day long doing this. I'm not adding 1 ounce of power to that movement.
It's true.
You have to wind this one. Just start shaking it up a little bit. And you'll be able to feel. I mean, I can, you know, it's not something I can visually show you, but I can feel that rotor in there moving.
A few spins, and you've got a good chunk of energy that's been transmitted for the movement. So yeah, that's true.
Once you see that second hand start to move, couple shakes, put it on. That's going to keep the watch getting wound. So just realize that your winding the crown doesn't do anything with this particular movement.
That's true.
But
it's a good thing to point out so that people don't think it's defective when they
get it. I'm going to get letters.
Yeah.
Letters. I haven't had a letter in 15 years here.
So.
You know, yeah, back 20 years ago, I would get letters, but now nobody sends letters anymore. I will get emails from people saying my watch doesn't work. Well, now you understand, yes, indeed, it does work. Did I mention the 45 millimeter?
45 millimeter, beautiful integrated strap. And again, I want to stress, hand assembly in Vilnius, Lithuania by a team of Russian and Eastern European watchmakers. Every component